Hey doing everyone, welcome back. Be forewarned, you might hear some background noise, possibly a few profanities, and it's not coming from me. My wife is over there doing whatever she's doing, some kind of a project that looks like some kind of a sewing project. It looks like she's cutting up her fabric for what she's doing. So you may hear the sewing machine fire up, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe she's just cutting the fabric. But that's got nothing to do with the point of the video. I'm just letting you know why any background noise may come into effect and why you may hear her yelling out some profanities at some point. Like if she sticks herself like sews her fingers together or something like that. You know, I mean, who knows? I don't know. She might, sew her knees together or something. Who knows? She's kind of weird like that. Anyway, that kind of derailed now, didn't it? Let's get this train back onto the tracks. Okay. Bruce Springsteen, the boss, right? The guy that Ronald Reagan praised this guy back in 1984 during the 84 campaign for his song, Born in the USA. And politicians ever since that song came out have misunderstood it, misused it, and misrepresented its meaning, right? I mean, it's not really about that song, but I mean, just, Springsteen is just, he's got that big bombastic chorus to that song, right? That just sounds like a yay, yay, go America song, right? But if you listen to the lyrics, listen to the verses. No, it's told from the perspective of a Vietnam veteran who is struggling when he gets back and he's not being treated well by the country that sent him off to war, right? Now, I give you that, right? Plus Springsteen's political activism that, yeah, he's been politically active for decades, right? So, when he stands up on that stage, I don't know what country he was in, but, Trump likes to make a big deal about, well, he said this in a foreign country. Okay, well, he didn't say, first of all, he didn't say anything on that stage in a foreign country. Like I said, I don't remember what country he was in. Drop a comment if you know. But he stood on that stage, and yes, he was critical of the state of our country today, the way it is right now, and of the current administration, regime. But that's not anything that he wouldn't have said right here on a stage on the White House lawn. He would have said that if he had a stage set up there with Donald Trump in the audience, right? But Trump goes on about how he's overrated and untalented. Okay, I'm going to tell you point blank, Bruce Springsteen, whatever you think of his music, personally, I don't think he's a great singer. He's actually similar to Bob Dylan in that neither one of them are really great singers, right? They don't have great singing voices. Both of them, however, are fantastic songwriters. Just absolute brilliant songwriters. And, well, politically, they're also on the same page. So, that also makes sense. So, yeah, Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen, I would say, are an apples to apples comparison, right? So Springsteen said what he said. He was critical of the current state of the United States. And Donald Trump goes off the rails about how he's untalented and he's overrated and, what he looks like, how his skin is all atrophied and how he just looks like hell. And I'm sorry, but have you seen a recent picture of Bruce Springsteen? The guy is 75 years old and he looks fantastic for his age, right? I mean, if I didn't know that he was in his 70s, I would guess that he was closer to my age. But I know that he's a lot older than I am because he had 2 albums out before I was born, right? So he's got to be older than I am. So he looks great. He really does. Hey, Bruce, if you're watching this, drop me a comment below with the secret of looking good, man. Because whatever you're doing, it's working for you. Meanwhile, you got Donald Trump just a few years older. You want to talk about looks like hell? Have you seen that guy when he's not plastered with makeup? He looks like hell. Actually, I don't think he looks great, when he is all painted orange. But, what do you expect from a guy who's lived almost 80 years on a diet of, Big Macs and Diet Cokes, right? And buckets of chicken. Yeah. Not that I have anything against Big Macs and Diet Cokes and buckets of chicken. Diet Coke I could do without, but the other two, yeah, I like those things too. But they're not a major part of my diet. So, he actually put a thinly veiled threat against Springsteen, about when he comes back into this country. Let's see how that goes for you, or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly how he said it, but it was something to that effect, right? But what do you expect from an almost 80-year-old toddler who puts out government decrees on a completely irrelevant social media platform that I think he's the only person on it? Well, him and maybe 10 other people, right? Of course, I'm exaggerating, but it is not a successful platform. Yeah, not successful at all. But would you expect anything less from the guy who bankrupted casinos? I don't know. Anyway, Springsteen and Trump. I mean, I could have told you 40 years ago, right? I could have told you that if we had a president like Donald Trump, because 40 years ago we did have Ronald Reagan, right? And Ronald Reagan would be a radical leftist Marxist communist, socialist lunatic by the standards of today's Republican Party. Right? So, if this guy stood against Ronald Reagan, I could have told you then that if we ever had a president like Donald Trump, that Springsteen would take a stand against him. Could have told you that 40 years ago, when I was not very politically astute because, well, I was 10. So, yeah. So for Trump to think that, Springsteen had to go to a foreign country to say what he said, he has said that not only would he say the same thing here, he has. He has said the same thing here. Now, am I going to spend my money to go see Springsteen in concert? No. No, I mean, he's got some songs that I absolutely love. The aforementioned Born in the USA, for example. Actually, that album was really good. I mean, he had, like 7 singles off of that album. All that hit the top 10. Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, songs like that. He has some songs that I absolutely love. Not a big fan of his voice overall, but he is a fantastic songwriter. Side note, Blinded by the Light, Manfred Mann's Earth Band, right? Springsteen wrote that song, and he recorded it before they did. Bruce's version was awful. And Manfred Mann's Earth Band, well, other than a questionable pronunciation of a repeated word throughout the song, I'd say they did a pretty good job with that song, right? Of course, if you listen closely, that's not even, that particular word is not even the most disturbing part of that song. There's, I'm not even going to go there. I will let you listen for it yourself. See if you hear what I hear in that. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Kind of like the one word that, the feminine hygiene product that everybody thinks that they're singing about, or that everybody knows that's not what they're actually saying, but it sounds like that, But anyway, not really a Springsteen fan, but I do love some of his stuff, right? And I'm going to side with the boss on this one. And the boss isn't the guy who thinks he's the boss. The boss is the guy who has been the boss for my entire life. Why is he called the boss? Don't know. Don't care. He's the boss. So, I'm going to take his side on this. So, again, boss, if you're watching, you know what? Keep up the good work, man. I'll catch you all next time.